Hello, beautiful family. Welcome to your devotional number 23. And we are studying in the book of Esther how a woman is placed as a queen for the purpose of serving God and protecting the people of God, the family of God. In the plan of God, there will be enemies, there will be difficulties, but just because the enemy has plans against us does not mean God does not have plans too. And it is beautiful to pay attention that when you have enemies surrounding you in your assignment or in the plan of God in your life, you will always have to remember, and you won't see it, but you have to remind yourself that at the same time, God is developing His own plans of rescue. I want to read to you the last verse of chapter 5, and then how it introduces chapter 6. The next couple of videos, we will stay on this because it's really worth seeing. It says, so Haman's wife, Zeresh, and all his friends suggested, set up a sharpened pole that stands 75 feet tall, and in the morning, ask the king to impale Mordecai on it. When this is done, you can go on your merry way to the banquet with the king. This pleased Haman, and he ordered the pole set up. So now, Haman, his anger raised to the level of planning the death of Mordecai by building this pole where Mordecai will be hanged. And he goes to sleep thinking he has a very successful plan. In his mind, I'm going to have Mordecai murdered, and then I'm going to go straight into a banquet, and I'm going to have the time of my life with my friend the king and the queen. And he is elated. I mean, things are going his way. Are they? Are they really? Now, another point that I want you to see so far as right now, Mordecai never defended himself. And that is a key. When you see things rising against you, make sure that you don't try to build your own strategies. Make sure you're not trying to build a way to defend yourself, because that can interrupt divine plans. I learned a long time ago, I don't need to respond to the drama. I don't need to respond to the conversations. I don't need to react to the plannings. I just have to trust God, please God, and do my part of obeying the Lord in what He has asked me to do. And He will fight for us. That is His way. So as you are serving God, as things are arising against you and seem to be succeeding, wait on Him. Wait on the Lord. Now I'm going to introduce you the opening of the next chapter, and then we're going to continue in the next video. But this is my point in this one. Mordecai never defended himself. Here, while he is sleeping, there's a conversation happening, the plan of his death. Haman, the man of authority, the man that has the trust of the king, is planning the destruction of Mordecai. And at the same time, another thing is happening in the kingdom. You want to see what? Chapter 6. It says, that night, the king had trouble sleeping. So he ordered an attendant to bring the book of the history of his reign, so it could be read to him. In those records, he discovered an account of how Mordecai had exposed the plot of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the eunuchs who guarded the door to the king's private quarters. They had plotted to assassinate the king. And look at the question in verse 3. What reward or recognition did we ever give to Mordecai for this? And his attendants replied, nothing has been done for him. Wow. You might say, is it a coincidence that the king couldn't sleep? Is it? No. Oh, family, God has a way of waking people up. And if you recall the story, and if you have been listening to the prior videos, remember that Mordecai had heard about a plot against the king. They wanted to murder the king. And Mordecai gave the information to Queen Esther. Queen Esther gave the information to the king, and they were both killed for plotting against them. And it was recorded. And that's a part that I want to remind you. Everything good you've done is recorded. That does not mean that it is immediately recognized. Mordecai, when this happened, was not recognized. God was saving the recognition for a different moment. God was saving the reward for a different moment. So sometimes when you see that you're not being recognized or rewarded, consider that a delay from the Lord, and He's saving it for a different moment. But here it is. The king has no clue what Haman is planning, has no clue about the conversations in a different home, has no idea. He's just having trouble sleeping. God can trouble people very fast to wake them up and make them go through the books. People in authority, no matter if they are believers or not, God has access to them. And the king wanted the chronicles of the kingdom. He wanted to review them. What a coincidence that of all the places he could have opened that book, he opened it in the moment where Mordecai saved his life. And in his troubled night, he asked the question, what did we do for him? Because true kings do not leave people unrewarded. True kings do not leave people unrecognized. And this king is not about to do that. He wants to know what was done for this man. Isn't it amazing that God can do that without Mordecai speaking for himself, banging at the palace door, asking when is he going to be rewarded, crying about it, telling everybody that he was unrecognized, unrewarded, and carrying this bitter attitude everywhere? No, not necessary. Mordecai did what was right. Never defended himself from Haman, and never did try to demand recognition. That's nothing more horrible than those words. Demand acknowledgement. But God will never leave your good deeds unrewarded. So he wakes up the king. And now the king is awake. And God leads him to read the book, the Chronicles. And now he's reading that portion. And now the troubling moment even gets worse, because now he's thinking, I have a man in my palace that has defended me, and I did nothing for him. Isn't it amazing how in the house of Haman there's a plan of death, and in the king's palace there's a plan of reward? Do you see that, family? Isn't it amazing how in the house of Haman there's a plan of destruction, and at the same time in the king's palace there is a plan of recognition? Both happening at the same time. In our humanity, we're usually more aware and more attentive to whatever the enemy is doing, unfortunately. But I hope that today that will turn for you, and you will say, wow, if this is happening, I cannot even imagine what God is doing right now at the same time on my behalf. He is preparing a rescue plan that is going to blow me away. Praise God. I hope you're interested and you'll be attentive to the next video. Remember, if you would like to sow a seed to Wisdom for Winning Church, you can by going through PayPal or Zelle. The email is pastorana@wisdomforwinningchurch.tv, or you can sow through Cash App, Wisdom #4 Winning. Thank you, family. Have a blessed day.